There were
them the way
there were
out
other groups
from it.
too. I mean, there were also like the refugees from towns that had been overtaken.
Yeah.
You know,
And
and
the
they
different-
really had no choice in it. And that's that's even that's worse because they didn't want to be slaves. You know.
But the one scripture it says like, you know, if the time coming when you can be set free, but you want to stay with your master, stay with that family, and because actually when you treat the people the way Jehovah was saying, they should all prosper. It says that they should come out.
But that particular verse though, I mean, it says their family and their children as well. So, like we had said that before,
But,
I mean, it was saying if you want to leave your master, you have to leave your wife and kids behind too. And
but notice that the law was teaching us, right? Because it says that it was shadow. It was teaching us what's right, what's bad. Now, whose fault was it that the son and the daughter was sold? Whose fault was it?
the father.
It wasn't Jehovah's.
Right.
It wasn't Jehovah. So see how seeing that, the pain, the others seeing that somebody got to the point like that should be staying away from it. So see, it's like, it's not that it's Jehovah's fault or God didn't give us strict direction. It just showed us that the man cannot follow that law. That we make mistakes all the time, even now. That's why when we get to know more about Jesus, that's why we get the understanding why we needed that ransom sacrifice. Because the people put themselves with their decisions, put themselves in trouble. Because now it's like with those credit cards, you know, they can get you to court, they have the ways to get what you owe. It wasn't smart to go over the board. You know what you can, we should be able to, you know, be able to these decisions that we make, they should be reasonable. We shouldn't put ourselves and then, oh, what happened now, then cry. Well, I think now it's more lenient because it's like they coming and giving you, you know, you can go to the bank to see if you don't have nothing to give, then they can be just they forget the debt, right? But now more and more they're getting those little clause that they put in credit cards. It's not anymore to get easily out, but whose fault is it? It's our fault when we make those mistakes. The same, you know, somebody being punished for something. Who put them in a situation? You know, so it's like reasoning on it and seeing how Jehovah always found a way how to help the ones who are in oppression. You know, the laws of gleaning, like, you know, when you were master and you were going to picking up whatever it was in your land, you know, or the grapes or the weed, you know, whatever it was, the law was, you don't pick up everything. You leave it because there are some people who are less fortunate. They, you know, it's harder for them to provide for themselves, to make a smart decision. So they can go and eat from whatever is left over. They have to work hard because that's, you know, it's the edges were left completely, but you know, in the middle of the field, you could find the things. They were forbidden to go and pick up everything because thinking about the ones of the less fortunate. So
well, one thing that kind of still gives me the feeling that the Bible wants to condone it is, I'm not sure where it's at, but doesn't it make provisions about when you overtake a town, you're to take the possessions and the people as slaves, or as like spoils of war, basically. Are you familiar with that story?
Yeah.
Where is that at? Do you know off the top of your head?
No.
I'll find it.
But that was back then, Mike. They're no longer under that. But notice in Psalm 72.
Yeah.
And this was after that. Notice how the psalmist prophesied about oh my God, in Psalm 72.
Okay.
Verse 12 and 13. 12, 13, and 14.
He will feel sorry for the...
Start with 12.
Okay. For he will deliver the poor out crying for help, also the afflicted one, and whoever has no helper. He will feel sorry for the lowly one and the poor one. And the souls of the poor ones he will save. From the oppression and from violence he will redeem their soul. And their blood will be precious in the eyes, in his eyes.
That's how Almighty God feels about all
Okay.
that.
I understand.
Lastly, let's go to the concubine, and we'll go back to volume 1. Volume 1 on page 495. And it's going to give us some reasoning why polygamy was permitted, but monogamy was Jehovah's arrangement for mankind in Eden. He started with Adam and Eve. He just gave Adam one wife, and then we're going to look at a scripture that when Jesus Christ came on the scene in the first century, he indicated that they should return back to monogamy should be the standard for the Christian congregation. So on page 495, what is that? What does that say on 495?
Is it the concubine?
Concubine.
Okay, once you read it.
Among the Hebrews, a concubine occupied a position in the nature of secondary wife, and was sometimes spoken as a wife. It appears that concubines were slave girls, one of three kinds: a Hebrew slave girl sold by her father, 2, a foreign slave girl purchased, or 3, a foreign slave girl captured in warfare. Some of the slave girls or handmaids of the free wife, as in cases of Sarah, Leah, and Rachel. Concubinage was in existence before the law covenant and was recognized and regulated by the law, which protected the rights of both wives and concubines. Concubines did not have all the rights in the household that the regular wife had, and a man might have a plurality of wives along with concubines. In cases where the wife was barren, she sometimes gave her handmaid to the husband as a concubine, and the child born of the concubine would then be considered as the child of the free wife, his mistress. Sons of concubines were legitimate and could inherit, since by Oriental custom the wives and concubines of a king could only become those of his legal successor. Absalom, who demonstrated the greatest disrespect for David, tried to strengthen his efforts to get the kingship by having relations with the 10 concubines of his father David. After King Solomon was enthroned, Adonijah, an older brother of Solomon, who had already made an attempt for the kingship, approached Solomon's mother, Bathsheba, saying, "You yourself well know that the kingship was to have become mine," and then asked her to request of Solomon Abishag, and Shunammite, who appears to have been viewed as a wife or a concubine of David. Solomon angrily answered requests also for him the kingship, and he ordered that Adonijah be put to death, indicating that he construed Adonijah's request as an effort to get the kingdom.
Is that it? Is there a new subheading?
No, they're just.
Yeah, it goes on for pages.
Does it end? Look like here. Let me see. Concubines. Where did you stop at?
To the end of the page, I think.
God did
Yeah.
not see fit to restore the original standard of monogamy. You read that?
Oh no,
That was the
no.
next one. That's what, yeah, I think
Okay. Let me see. Since by Oriental custom the wives and concubines of a king could only become those of his legal successor. Oh, okay, successor after all. See, God did not see fit to restore the original standard of monogamy as he had established it in the Garden of Eden until the appearance of Jesus Christ. But he did, or Jesus did protect or Jehovah did protect the concubine by legislation. Concubinage logically worked toward a more rapid increase of the population in Israel. So again, in Matthew, if you look in our Bible, Matthew chapter 19, Matthew chapter 19, verse 5 and 6. And here Jesus is establishing the new Christian congregation, how once he was impaled, they no longer will be under the Mosaic law.
It was Matthew what?
Chapter 19, and would you read verse 5 and 6?
For this real.
Well, why don't you read 4, 5, and
Okay.
6?
In reply, he said, "Did you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man will leave his father and his mother and will stick to his wife, and to the two will be one flesh, so that they are no longer two but one flesh. Therefore what God was yoked together, let no man put apart."
Okay, and then